Hi guys, it's Cindy and Tiff, your two poly chicks. I hate when I do the introduction because I always forget what to say. Tiff always says, it's your two poly chicks. But anyway, we're here guys with another episode. Today we have the pleasure of Van Lee. So we wanted to talk a little bit about Asian relations in America, specifically Asian relations with Blacks, right? So we thought it'd be a good idea to have Ben on, and I'll tell you a little bit about Van Lee. He's 34 years old, living in Chicago, which I want to go there. So we'll talk after. You have two brothers, three sisters. You did 3 years in the Peace Corps, which I thought was very interesting. As a volunteer in Mongolia. You also studied in Japan. I feel like I'm telling you about yourself. You studied in Japan.
Like, yes,
and
yes.
You speak 4 languages: Mongolian, Vietnamese, Japanese, and English. And languages is something that Tiffany and we're like obsessed with it and fascinated with. I think it's great to be able to switch your mind up to speak languages. You currently work in nutrition policy, which that's a whole nother show in itself, but I love the idea. You're a content creator. Your show is called Positive Leo. So we'll put the link below for that. And you pretty much talk about good stories and positive vibes, which we need that now more than ever. You're musical, play the guitar. So I know I saw some of your videos. I think I saw you playing on there in a couple of your videos. You believe that love and compassion can move us toward a better future. And also, I thought it was interesting you talk about mental health. So Tiff and I did an episode on that, and Tiff is definitely a big proponent of mental health. Not that I'm not, but that's really like one of her passions. And last but not least, ladies, he's single and ready to mingle.
Oh, yes. You said it. Now you said it, Cindy. You said it. Give it 5 seconds for the audience to digest.
Yeah. Single and ready to mingle.
Oh,
yes. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Ben. So just by way of starting, can you just tell us about yourself? I'm fascinated with people that immigrate from other countries or that have a family of immigrants that this is not their native language. So I want to know a little bit about your experiences coming from Vietnam and in the United States, growing up in the United States.
All right. Great question. So as you said before, I got 2 brothers, 3 sisters. Now, before my family went from Vietnam over to the States, it was after the Vietnam War. Life was tough, when the North took over the South. I've heard stories where, they would beat up the men. It's like, why did you betray? Why did you fight for the South? We're one country. We're trying to unite the country. You're teaming up with another country to, and some of the ladies would be raped. And it was just a lot of bad stuff going on. Poverty was high. Issues going, and my mom and dad had to make a very difficult decision in 1982 or 83 to leave the country. So my mom, I remember this, and I remember telling a lot of my friends, and I typically get emotional and stuff, but imagine like a guard post, folks with guns pointing, anyone try to escape, we're gonna shoot you. And my mom would wait until the guard fell asleep at midnight. In the mud, in the swamp, 2 boys, 2 girls. I wasn't even born. I was just a thought. And she was going through, waiting, going underwater, waiting for the guard to sleep, get back up. It was oh man. And then, because my dad was a fisherman, he got licensed to go out and fish. Okay. Right. So he was out there fishing, but actually was waiting for time, to meet my mom and then make that journey. And so finally they got out. And met my dad, went on 13 days on the open ocean. If y'all ever seen The Life of Pi, where, there were sharks circling around the boat. And dolphins, it's like another miracle. Dolphins came out, surrounded the boat, and protected my my family at that time for like 10 kilometers, which is like 6-7 miles, until the sharks got tired. Because the sharks knew people who try to escape, their boats just flip from the storm or whatever, and the sharks just swoop in and do their business, right? But the dolphins came And maybe my dad developed a relationship with the
Aw.
dolphins. He fishes a lot in that area.
Yeah.
He doesn't mess with the dolphins. They don't mess with him. They're cool. They have a relationship or something. And then there were times when, you know, food ran out and my family had to drink their own urine just to get, because there's nothing else.
Right.
And yeah, if you ever had water and potato flour, mix it. That was
Mhm.
that was food. That was all really
Wow.
it ran out because they didn't think they could go that long or that far or whatever. But and then miracle came through second time. Rain just came down, but it just, you know how those spot rains.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was right on the boat. It was just right there on the boat.
Wow.
It wasn't anywhere else. It was just right on that boat. So I don't know if miracle. You don't know. I can't
Yeah.
even explain
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
All the way to like what I think day 10, 11, 12 or something. Even all that rainwater was done. My mom and dad knew that it was over, you know, on that boat journey. Like there's nothing left, no food, no nothing. So my mom and dad would tie like a rope to everybody, to two kids. I think my grandma was on the boat, four kids actually, and then the grandma and my dad. So like 6, 7 people would tie, or 8
Mhm.
people actually. And like if they die together. If they live, they're gonna live together. So if
Wow.
it falls off, we're gonna hold each other with the rope and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, an island popped up. There's just an island. And they got on, they met some of the native people there and they were scared, but the people were nice and gave them food and supplies. That was another miracle. They were just waiting for death, right? And they just
Wow.
showed up on land. It was just crazy. So from there, you know, they came to the States. I mean, there was, you know, the interview with the US Embassy. My dad was a Vietnam vet, fought for the South.
Wow.
And, you know, he injured himself. He stepped on a landmine, jumped to the side, blew his leg. And there was just a lot of stuff going on there too. But that's another story.
Wow.
Right. And so
Um,
they stayed in Hong Kong for a little bit and then a refugee camp there because they got caught by the Hong Kong Coastal Guards. It's like, who are you? What are you doing? But they were nice. They took him in, fed my family. And then I think my mom and dad interviewed with the US Embassy and then they qualified to go to the
mhm.
States, but 6 months in the Philippines in a refugee camp, and then over
Wow.
to the States. And that was 83, I think. And I was born in 87, 4 years
Okay.
later,
Okay.
maybe the celebration child, I don't know.
Probably.
Later, they had to get
Wow.
money, they got to raise their kids,
Wow.
4 kids. And then me and then my sister was born in 1990 and then 6 total.
Nice.
Wow.
So you were the first.
growing.
You were the first.
Yeah.
I was
American born.
yeah, number yep.
Of the okay. So wow.
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 Of the
Like
Lay
you said,
Dynasty.
the
Wow.
celebration child.
That
Oh
is
yeah, I would
so.
call that. Yeah.
I was just. I know. I was just fascinated with when you were talking about your parents' boat experience because I was thinking. I mean, this episode is about Asian and Black and Asian relations, and I was thinking that we have that boat history too of being brought over here on a boat. You know, it's a different. Yours was voluntary. Ours wasn't. But being over on a long passage, 3 months and travel from Africa to America and just being tossed overboard if you die or if you have a baby on board or just the rapes and just the everything. And so, you know, we just understand each other's cultural experiences. We could really get along better, you know, like I was just thinking about that and then your story reminded me of episodes I've watched of Chop and people that are Vietnamese chefs, they'll say, my parents came over on a boat or my mother just put me on the boat and sent me out, you know, and I was just like, you could just put your child on a boat and just, you can't go, but you'll put your child on a boat, don't know where they're going to wind up and just be like, go.
And hoping,
just the
hoping
strength.
they're saved, hoping that they get to live and have a better life than what you're facing there. And I mean, that still happens today, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna add, and to Cindy and to your point, Tiffany, like some of those kids later on get reunited with their family after things open up in maybe 1991 when I think Bill Clinton and the administration came over to open trade and everything, because they may not know where their kid went. It could have gone to at that time. There were Vietnamese immigrants to like Norway, Australia, Hong Kong, America, Philippines, all over the world, because everyone tried to leave at that time. And it was tough. And so I share that. So Back to you, Tiffany. You were going to ask something.
No, I was just saying that it's amazing, that story. Like, and it just continues with the immigration from other countries,
Mexico,
yep, from Africa, from Haiti, from
Mexico,
so many other places. But what we wanted to discuss, like Cindy said, was specifically the Black and Asian, or the African American and Asian. I don't know which way to phrase it, but the Black people and Asian people's what do you call it, their relationship. And it seems like it's always been strained, even with us having that similar type of background. And one thing I want to point out is when we say Asian, people lump Asian like all together, even though there's different cultures. There's Chinese, there's Korean, there's Filipino, there's Filipino, what is it, Thai people.
Yep, Laos.
Yeah. Don't forget the Vietnamese people. Show your shirt.
Yeah.
Right on your shirt.
Too.
All right.
There's so many different types of Asian people, and people lump them together as a group that they, for some reason, collectively dislike or hate. And we see that in the increase in crime, and specifically an increase in crime from the Black community. Now, I'll preface this. We've had a conversation previously, and my thing is, if you meet someone and know someone and get to know them, like I always say, and get to know them on a personal level, your hatred or your fuel for hatred will die down, because you understand that there's cultural differences in these are people specific. So what do you say about the Asian and Black, in the Asian Black relations, and the increase in violence that's taking place right now? What do you say about it? I know it's a lot. I mean,
that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yes.
It is. And that was one of my sticking points when the Asian massage parlors were being shot up. It's like, these are human beings, regardless of what happens. These are human beings, and they shouldn't be treated any other way than you would want to be treated as a human being. There is an uptick. We've seen so many videos on, and it's so bothersome that it's usually Black men that's doing it.
It's Black men. It's Black men.
Women and old Asian men, and it's just, okay, guys, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Let me zip and let
So where do I begin? Where do I start, and which angle? I think my understanding, and it's just my own personal opinion, is that a lot of times, I think this is how I feel, but when there's fear, whether it's fear for one's own life, or fear of families, or fear, and out of fear, people justify certain acts that they do onto someone else, onto their own families, onto their friends, out of fear. And fear breeds worries and concerns. And what folks see on TV, they may think that's the truth, and from that it's reflected into their actions, and they hurt a fellow brother, they hurt a fellow sister. So I feel like there's a lot of work needed to be done in terms of what we can do right now, people listening, and through our conversations, that there's much ways to cultivate positivity, cultivate compassion, cultivate kindness, and that can be done through our neighbors. And whatnot, because if you weigh it out on a quantum physics side, fear, worries, concerns, active violence, hatred is a very low frequency.
Yes.
You're in a very dark space, but love, peace, compassion, joy, happiness, peace, calm mind is a higher frequency. And so if I can convey anything, is why do we do something that makes us feel horrible and bad? And why don't we do more things that makes us feel good? Because I'm sure the people who commit that, if you sit down and ask them, oh, what did you think of doing that? How did that feel? The person will say, I felt horrible. I don't know why I did it. And but I just did it. I acted on my impulse. I was scared. I was worried that folks are, COVID. I was scared of everything, and I acted on that. And I send my kindest regards to and love and peace to my fellow brothers and sisters who may have committed or thinking or whatnot, for them to really cultivate compassion and peace, because that's the only way forward, like together, because COVID doesn't stop.
Right.
Kindness, we can't stop being kind either.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen like in America, we've seen where when something happens, we blame a specific race. Like we saw 9/11, we saw a lot of Muslims being attacked. We put the travel ban on going to areas that were Muslim countries. What I think, just like you said, your personal opinion, we all have ours. I think that when you have a president stand up and say something like a certain kind of flu, I will not use that term, but just to call it this certain specific flu, and that's what COVID is, and say that rallies and say it on TV, just like right in front of everybody, you may not have caused some problem, but you're fueling it and feeding it. And so I wonder if there is a connection between what he did and said, feeding a lot of hate, because we see a lot of hate going on of people of color.
It legitimized it.
It might not have started it because this country is built on that. Right. But it definitely made those monsters be fed. Also, I think because Blacks and Asians have a specific relationship, because we tend to have that community relationship where Asian stores, Asian markets generally tend to be in Black areas, and that tension is there. It's just a big, I don't even know where you would start to address it. I really don't know where you would start. I really don't.
That's why I say, I think, and this is my opinion, I think the relationship starts with actually speaking to the person, with actually not coming with preconceived notions. Right. I mean, I have two very close Asian friends. One is, actually, they're both Filipino. And, wait. Philippines. Let me get it right. Let me make sure I got it.
You better get it right. You better get it right.
Tagalog, right? Tagalog.
That's a correct language, right?
Okay, so then they're two very close Filipino friends, and just getting to know them and knowing and seeing how they live and love their families just the same, and have the same interests and the same. Right. Once you get to know people on that level, you start realizing that we're all the same in different skin.
Humans.
That's the bottom line. Right. That's the way I feel. And that's
humans want the same things.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's where it starts with the release of the tension and the tampering down of the hatred and the violence, is actually having a conversation with someone that doesn't look like you or isn't part of your community. We can start by doing that and just see where it goes. Yeah. We might find beautiful relationships.
You might find something. You might learn something, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What I wanted to talk about, when I was teaching in an area that was heavily Hispanic and Asian, one of the things I learned that I didn't know, and speaking about what you said, Tiffany, about there's a whole bunch of different Asian countries and cultures within the Asian title.
Right.
I remember I had students that would come, fresh off the plane, right into school, didn't speak a word of English, only knew their name. And I remember I had a student that was Chinese. He was bilingual, so he understood English and Chinese, right? And so then I remember I had a new student come in, didn't speak any English. So when the student said she was from China, immediately I was like, oh, talk to him, I didn't know that Chinese have different languages. There's Cantonese, Mandarin. He was like, I don't speak what she speaks. I don't understand. I was like, what do you mean? You're Chinese, she's Chinese. I'm getting to know. I'm like, what do you mean?
I'm with you.
And he's like, she speaks Cantonese. That's different. I didn't even know something that simple. Like, you immediately think Chinese. Okay, they all should understand each other.
Right.
And so what I wanted to know from you, what did you think about the stereotypes, biases, and understandings that something like what Tiff just said about not understanding? Your thoughts on that, just the misunderstandings about even Vietnamese culture.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I'll definitely touch on that. But let me jump back a couple points earlier when you talked about 9/11, because I have some really close Muslim brothers and sisters. And if you look at the statistics, the action of, 100 people? I don't know how big the group is that did the 9/11 thing, but that weight on over a billion, and statistics shows that over 600 to 800 crimes that have been done back in 2017, terrorist crimes, right? Were done on countries in the Middle East. If you count it between each other, and certain things happen, and we tend to kind of blow it out of proportion and put the weight of that on the entire population of a billion or over a billion Muslims and brothers and sisters, to the point where I remember my friend was so frustrated. He called me. He's like, Vin, I just went out to pick up my mail, and this letter showed up and said, go back to your country you're a terrorist. I'm like, they've been living there. They're law-abiding citizens. They've been contributing to tax. They've been doing their thing,
Yep.
living that American dream. And
Yep.
yet get, and the person who did that have nothing other than just hate. And we talked about fear. We talked about all the stuff we talked earlier, the answer. And I didn't know how to respond. I said, bro, I'm so sorry. And I was trying to comfort him. To another good friend of mine who would go to the mall, was just studying. He was just studying this thing with a bag, and everyone's just look at him and at the bag, like, why are you holding a bag?
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
couldn't have a
studying
bag.
book bags. Like, I'm not doing anything.
I have my overnight clothes in here.
Yeah,
There you go. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow. So from that to your question currently with the I think within even China, there's different, I guess, counties, places, they speak different languages. Cantonese, is talking about Mandarin. Even in Vietnam, some of my friends who are from different sides of Vietnam, there's different accents.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you if we go down, in Texas, certain folks may speak certain ways where we're like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. In New York, same thing. In New York.
yeah, or Ireland or Australia English, or like, you know what I mean? It's totally,
Yeah.
So, but can you remind me that last question one more time?
Just the stereotypes. I was thinking about the stereotypes and the biases. Like in New York, I know if you get on the train, you go through Chinatown. I don't know if every city has a Chinatown, but I know New York has one. And the stereotypes of they don't speak English, or, all these things, they're not part of us, quote unquote. And that whole thing maybe feeds this negative relationship between Asians and everybody else. It seems like it's Asians and then there's other. What your thoughts on that? The biases, the misunderstandings, and the differences.
I got you. Let me answer it from this angle. The moment I learned, what was it? Yashimash. You know what that means? Yashimash in Polish is how are you?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, say it again.
Yeah. Yashimash.
Yashimash.
Yashimash. Or
don't talk, that's too.
hey, or like, yeah. Or Strasvite, which is like, how are you in Russian? Or Sendeno, which is like, how are you in Mongolian? Or Manpehong, which is like Vietnamese for how are you? All I had to learn was just that. And I got invited to so many homes.
Wow.
Dinners.
Wow.
Or como estas?
Yeah.
Almost
you know what I mean? Let's go. Saying hello showed respect, culture, and connection, the willing to learn and respect. So if we could cultivate that, in other words, in our educational system, instead of running at math and running at science, getting numbers for higher scores and higher funding, if we can focus on life skills, how to be a proper person, how to learn to respect another culture, how to learn to unite, you know what I mean? We, and bring people together. I think if we can cultivate that in our public, private schools, everywhere, I think that could breed a future that we all want for our kids.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, have y'all ever had tacos with teriyaki chicken?
No.
Oh, have you ever had fried rice with avocado salsa?
No.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's so much more.
Wow.
The fusion of life, the fusion of people, the fusion of food.
Yeah,
I mean, who goes to a buffet and only eat rice? I would always say that. Who goes to a buffet and only eat rice? There's so much to experience. Why remove ourselves from an experience that we could,
Wow, that's such an excellent point. Wow.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think we're saying pretty much the same thing, to engage. The way to remove the stereotypes and the biases is to engage, engage with one another. Because I know in a lot of Asian cultures, we talked about this with the Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of people were saying, well, they're not repping for us, they're not marching for us. But with the Asian community, you very rarely see them being very outspoken or marching or doing they're very private in what they do and how they fight their battles. So when you understand that that's how that culture is, specifically that the culture is this way, then you're not taking it personally. They're not doing for me, why should I do for them? You're taking it in the sense of, this is who they are and how they are. I mean, you wouldn't expect the flamingo to not stand on one leg just because you're walking on two. So why would you expect something different from a culture that's different? And when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, they can support behind the scenes, or help with laws, or help with donations, things of that nature. So you may not see them outspoken and right out in front on the marching lines, but you may see them doing something in the background. And I think that's where the cultural differences and the biases,
Yeah. Understanding that, I love that you said taking it personal, because we do tend to, well, she ain't speak to me, she didn't say hi. As far as I know, in the community that I worked in, Asian people are not affectionate, we're not forward. We're considered very inappropriate and rude because we could kind of just ask any question or say anything. It wasn't like that with the Asian culture. They're very it's reserved. I don't know, from what I learned. And that's something we would need to understand. You can't change somebody's cultural, their upbringing and their beliefs. You can't.
So I'll add to that. If I could add to that, I can only speak from my own experience, and I don't want to weigh on all of our Asian brothers and sisters.
Right.
You have letters written to you like, "Man, that's not how I feel."
What you say about this? What you say? It's like, I didn't say anything.
No.
What I'll say, and maybe I'll lead to the answer, is in terms of reserve and whatnot, is, growing up, I think my mom and dad, for example, at a dinner table, when we sit and eat, my mom always taught me, and mom and dad, is ask for your mom and dad to be served first, bring a bowl of rice, give to them first, and pay respect to everyone from eldest down to the youngest. If I was the youngest, I'm paying respect to everyone first, to eat first, and then I eat, out of respect. And from that, my understanding is that potentially, I think I was reserved at one point in terms of, I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to digest all of that first.
Okay.
So then I understand the plane. And then, sorry, my connection's a little.
It's going in and out.
Okay, we work through that all the time. Don't
worry.
work
through that. Okay, we can work through that. Okay.
Yeah.
So out of that, we tend to analyze a lot more and to be sensitive to other people's opinions and thoughts before we convey our own. And I feel like sometimes it may not, the quiet one's the one that's thinking a lot, that has a lot to say.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I tell you,
yes.
I'm 100% sure on that one.
Yes.
So we tend to wait, and at the end, we'll lay something out that encompasses, whether it's indirect or direct. I think in the Asian culture, at least my understanding, we address a lot of things sometimes indirectly. You know what I mean? Through a point, an example, or something, because we want to be sensitive. I don't want to hurt someone's feelings potentially. Right. But that sometimes can be construed or convey as, why is the person quiet? They don't express their thoughts directly or clearly. But I'll tell you, we do think a lot, and we look at all those factors, I guess, from a cultural, trying to respect and all that. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, I mean, a little bit. These questions are kind of really just for us to just talk, because they're really too big to get 30 minutes in an episode and say, we're going to answer all the questions as to why Asians and Blacks are just like that. Somebody's going to go, really? You found it?
Like, that was it? There you go. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be millionaires if that's the case.
Hey.
But it's just to really open up. Tiff and I like to have different things on the show, different people, different perspectives.
Yes.
And so you're offering just what it was like growing up being Vietnamese, and understanding of people that you talk to that are of other cultures, and maybe some of the challenges we have of that, which is important.
So now wait, I'm gonna get into some. Go ahead, Vin. I was gonna say.
I got some. I just want to add. I just got some real quick. I remember one time I was 23 at the time, I think, and I came home and I rented a place, and one of my friends' wife asked me a question that I think about, and at that time, and I didn't have an answer, but I have an answer now. She asked me, Vin, are you Vietnamese? Are you Vietnamese-American? Are you Asian? Are you Asian-American? Are you American? Pick one. That's it. And why?
Pick
and
one?
Pick one. That's it. I didn't know how to answer that angle. I was like, you know what I mean? Because growing up at home, I feel like, my mom and dad teach me Vietnamese values, culture, language, and everything. And I tend to identify there. And then when I go out, everything else is, and so that I identify there, and then I match it together. I'm like a hybrid of both cultures. So identity for me, and maybe a lot of my brothers and sisters out there, was a factor as the second generation, I believe, growing up. And so, but now if I had to answer that same question, I'm pretty much everything, and it's okay. I'll take all of that.
Don't box me in. Don't box me in.
Don't box me in. I'm a fellow Earthling.
Yes,
I remember one time
exactly.
someone asked me, "Where are you from, Vin?" I love that question. Where are you from? Because my friend told me this. I'm from Earth. Where are you from?
Yes,
And they say,
I like
"Me
that
too."
answer.
That's all I need to know. Give it to me, yo.
Yeah, that's so
Good
funny.
answer.
I love it.
I'm gonna use that. I'm from Earth.
I'm from Earth.
Oh, use it. Oh, they're gonna start smiling. They don't know what to say right after. Like,
Yeah, we see more specifically. They start feeling kind of crazy because they're
like,
oh, now what do I say?
That's funny.
Reverse psychology.
But okay, so I'm gonna list off a few names. I'm gonna say Janae Aiko, Kimora Lee Simmons. You have Neo, Michael Ealy. You have let's see, Naomi Campbell, and of course Naomi Osaka. Now the thing that they all have in common is that they are Black and Asian.
So Sharon Leal too, no? Sharon Leal, I think.
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of them. There's police. I'll be here for 30 minutes listing some Black and Asian people. I'm just saying there's a lot of Black and Asian people that exist in this world. So when you think about that, you have to know that some Black and Asians got along for the most part.
I agree.
These awesome individuals. So I know we had spoken beforehand regarding like interracial dating, and I'm a proponent of interracial dating and just dating like you said, Ben, another human that you feel that you like or have things in common with, and there's nothing wrong with that. But specifically interracial dating, we wanted to talk about what your thoughts were on that, which we kind of, I think we know. Dish it. But I know you've had experiences with Black women or Black girls as well. So let's hear your experiences on interracial dating and what you think of it.
Okay, so let's go back in time for a little bit. It's back in 2011 now. It was like 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I know. So 10 years ago, I was a tennis coach. I taught tennis to little kids at this daycare center or something. And every time I pick up the kids, I would talk to Tasha. Me and Tasha would just, the kids have to get ready, have to put stuff in their bag, and they clean up their tables, and so we'd have these 5-10 minute conversations, and every single time. And later on, it's kind of funny because every room has cameras to make sure the kids are safe. Everyone's watching. There's security, high level security to make sure everybody's, and a rumor starts spreading with all the teachers, like, "Oh, what's going on, Vin and Tasha? What's going on there?" Yeah, right. Because we're always laughing. We're just joking with each other. It was so much fun. Like it was like, pure bliss. And then after that, we went on a date.
If we didn't know, Tasha is, I'm assuming, Black.
Absolutely. I don't know how else to say. Beautiful. Yeah, that's her name. That's right. And we talked, and we went to discuss about that little rumor, and then but that kind of sprouted because we're already interested in each other. We just trying to find an excuse to talk even more. You know what I mean? And we did, and we talked up, and we start dating. Now it's interesting because y'all remember that movie with Steve Harvey? It's called he wrote that book. Steve Harvey.
How to be a woman? How to be a
How to think like a woman.
Yeah, think like a man.
Or something like that. Yeah. It was
think like a man, act like a woman.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
And we went to watch that movie together. And then when the lights just turned on, it was like a dinner watching movies. Everybody was watching me and Tasha. It was just like, initially I was a little nervous, but then I'm like, I've always wanted to be a celebrity. This feels fun. I'm with that. I'll keep looking.
That's
autograph on Sundays. I don't charge. I'm like, everyone's just watching as if it's like, And I remember one time this elderly, we were at a pool, and this elderly lady said, "Y'all are so beautiful."
Wow.
And that's all she said. She was like in her 80s or something like that. She just said that, and we're just like, "Thank you," and we just walked on. I think a lot of times people view interracial dating as, or even with my own community, or maybe her community, it's like, wow, like there's a beautiful Black man over here, there's a beautiful Asian girl over here. Why don't you say hi to them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can't explain attraction. I can't really explain, if you like someone, you like someone. There's no why, ifs, buts. You know what I mean? There's no perfect mode fits all kind of thing. Like you're this, so you should do this.
Yeah.
I think the human potential, whether it's love or even in jobs or just growth, is unlimited. We can love anybody, and then we can maximize and open that up to the whole world if we wanted to. And so me and her, we had that connection going, and it was just so beautiful. And I asked her, and this is add another layer of Romeo and Juliet there, is that I told her, "Hey babe, like I'm gonna go to Peace Corps. You know that, right?" And she knew it before. "Are you sure you want to do this? Like we're gonna get into a relationship. Like you okay with that?" And she was okay with that. And so it was kind of beautiful and a little sad, because at the end of the relationship, it's like she knew I was gonna go serve in the country in Mongolia for 3 years or 2 years.
Wow.
And she was okay with that. She wrote me this letter about like, "Vin, you're awesome. Go help the people." And she supported every single thing I did. And it was just touching because, you know, we knew it was going to end.
Right.
We maximized every second moment. I met her family. She met mine. You know, I met her mom and dad.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did your family receive? How did your families receive it?
Oh, it was just beautiful.
Man, that is
wow.
So awesome. And see, when we
wonderful, it was completely fine. Yeah, I thought there was going to be
No, go ahead.
Oh no, it was totally fine. I think, you know, Tasha, she's super outgoing, super smiley and happy. She could like block negativity out as if it's like a, you know what I mean, just like a little softball she catches and tosses, right? And so she comes in with a big smile.
Force field around.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember I was at a birthday party for my nephew, and she knew about it. I was just, you know, she's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm just at a birthday, you know, I'm hanging out at Chuck E. Cheese with my nephew, the whole family, you know, lunch or dinner or something like that." And she shows up. She's like, she showed up with a bunch of gifts, completely comfortable, like, and everyone loved her right off the bat. It was sort of, if you're a good human being and kind and loving like that, you know, all the people's thoughts and biases, a stereotype, whatever, it just dissipates, because they get to understand that you are just a beautiful human being, and it plays back on them if they're judging. It plays back on them if they're pushing something else outside of that, and that's on them. That's not on Tasha or me or anyone. Love is love in that kind of sense. It's beautiful. It's protected by love, right? So
I love that. I love that analogy. I love the explanation. Just one with the buffet. I mean, I wouldn't go to a buffet and try just one thing. I would try a few different things. And then the fact that it opens you up to other ideas and other cultures, and just, you know, your limit, your pool is wider when you're selecting from different races as well. And for me, I get encouraged about America when I see interracial dating, because I know, based on the census that just came out, we're becoming more Black and brown, and not saying that not having white people is a good thing, because that's definitely not what I'm saying, but it's just becoming more diverse. It's becoming more like wide open to where we can be treating each other as humans, and it's just the human race, and that's it. So when I see interracial couples, I'm always like, I wonder how they got together. Like, that's the first thought that comes to my mind. But you're right when you say some people do cut off their dating pool, or you'll have people that'll say, well, why don't you date this person because they're in your race? Why would you go? Why would you not date a Black person or a white person or a Spanish person when there's one right here? So I do find that opening up that pool kind of like just it gives unlimited bounds, you know.
And I think it takes a strong personality to be able to sit in a room in a Steve Harvey movie And you turn on the lights, and there's this guy, clearly Asian features, sitting next to Tasha.
They're like, hey, you was watching the movie the whole time?
Yes, sitting next to
Right
Tasha.
here.
You guys, he's dating Tasha. He was
I love
dating
it.
Tasha.
I love it.
Now, when I hear the name Tasha, immediately.
Yeah, you're thinking one thing. Now, one thing we ask our guests, we're so grateful for you to come on, and I do want you to let us know about your channel as well. I think it's called Positive Leo or Positive Leo.
That's correct.
Positive Leo. Can you give the audience where they can find you, your information, and in that way we can share about that channel?
Yes.
Sure. So just real quick on the channel, it kind of sprouted out during the COVID times as a way for me to just share positive stories, music, life, reviews, just all of that, just to uplift family and friends at the time to anyone that would listen. So that's one. But yeah, on YouTube, Positive Leo, you type that in, it shows up. You see me doing this. I'm all about peace, love, and kindness.
Yeah.
And a big firm believer, as you mentioned, Cindy, before, mental health. I think if we can cultivate and invest in our mental health, invest in positivity, and people think positivity is, it's fake or it's not real. It's a tool, because being truly positive, I think, is understanding all the circumstances that we're in, being realistic about it, but then put ourselves in a very uncomfortable, positive mindset in order to get more opportunities to address the issue that comes. Because if we use the same method to address the same issue that comes and expect a different result, people define that as insanity, right?
Insanity.
Positivity is a tool, it's a tool. So use that, cultivate that. And I try to interview and talk to a lot of people who are trying to do that, whether it's a fitness coach, whether it's an anxiety mentor, whether it's a homesteader, to even talking to y'all. You are beautiful, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will put your information in the bio of the video as well. But we just wanted the audience to know a little bit about your channel as well, and to follow you, your channel as well. But the last question we always ask of our guests, and this is still an answer. I'm going to think of an answer to this question for the future, because I never ever have an answer. Like, if you ask me today, I would not have an answer. But if you were to be given a magic wand and you can do anything that you wanted with it, anything at all, what would you do? Where would you go? What would you change or modify? Anything that you wanted in this world with that magic wand, what would you do?
I have a lot of things I want to do, actually. Wow. Okay, personally, I want to rewind time 2 years ago, because my brother passed away, and I wish I could help him more, and do things that I know now that I should have done then to help a little more, and spend more with him. Is one. Personally, that's on my top list. Globally, we have enough food to feed the world, 16.7 billion people, yet why is 3 billion people still hungry when we have only 7 billion in the world? If everyone could have food, if everyone could not worry about their health, and they have medical insurance and all covered.
Nice.
Like my kids, your kids, we don't have to worry about that. We can, when we leave, it's okay, we're going. That's life and death. It's how it is. But I know my kids are covered. I know everything is fine. It's gonna be okay. It's up to them to cultivate their future.
I like
what I mean? Do their own thing.
That's beautiful.
I like that.
Just do that.
I like that.
All. You get the one.
It. Yes,
you get the one.
Get the one. And I like the fact that you said, and that's key to us thinking about the future. When you have your loved ones around, you never know when they're gonna go. So you want to spend as much time as you can with them, and just love on them as much as you can, even in the middle of being angry at them or whatever. Time passes so fast that you don't want to miss out on that. And as far as the food and the health, those should be basic human rights. I agree 100% with you.
How ridiculous in a non-third world country, that's the starvation, that's what You know, that's why when I see the cooking shows and the people are just like throwing food out after they finish experimenting with some recipe. And I'm like, it's just crazy how much.
Remember the hot dog eating contest or the food eating contest?
Oh.
They're just gobbling it for no reason. Like
just gluttonous, and then they throw the food out. And you know, in the school system, I thought this was crazy. If the kid doesn't eat the food, they throw it out. Like a teacher can't even take the food and eat it because it's something against some sort of policy, federal policies. They throw the food away. If the kid gets a tray, every kid is entitled to a tray. They get it, they sit it there, and they just, if you don't get the tray, they throw it out.
wow.
It's crazy to me. But anyway.
My gosh.
I love your wine. I love
yes. Thank you so much, Vinh, for appearing with us. You guys can always follow us on Two Poly Chicks on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Poly Chicks on YouTube. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you dislike it, thumbs not down, and tell us why. Always comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, Vinh, for appearing.
Thank you, Vinh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Love.
Bye-bye, guys.